Shout, shout up with your song, cry with the wind, for the dawn is breaking. March, march, swing you along, white will our banner, and hope is waking. I named my book, Shout, Poetry for Suffrage, after Ethel Smythe's Anthem for the Women. Today I'm going to be reading for you a series from this book and some new work to celebrate, of course, the 2020 centennial of the 19th Amendment. The 2020 centennial also of the Spanish flu. Unfortunately, have another pandemic 100 years later. It is also a pivotal presidential election year. And so many of my poems will be from women who are in some way presidential candidates, those who were at the forefront of the battle for suffrage and now still for equal rights. Many of these poems are in dialogue, and all of them are first-person narratives that I have culled in different ways to capture the spirit of these women. We will begin with those luminous figures from the 19th century. I am Elizabeth Cady Stanton, 1815 to 1902. And I am Susan B. Anthony, 1820 to 1906. We create the revolution, a newspaper promoting women's rights. Our motto is principle, not policy, justice, not favors, the true republic. Men, their rights and nothing more. Women, their rights and nothing less. I am a philosopher and legal scholar. I read widely and deeply. I focus on writing and editing the revolution. I manage production, printing, and promotion. I raise a family of 7 children. I never marry. I will not surrender what few rights I have as a woman. I inspire women across the nation to join the cause for suffrage. They call themselves my nieces. I write the speeches, yours and mine. I write letters, I write articles and books. I agitate, I argue, I insist. And I persist. I am your eyes and ears on the ground. I bring you news from the field. I load the cannon against the cult of true womanhood. I fire the cannon. We lobby, we promote, we protest, we buttonhole. We noise-making twain are 2 sticks of a drum. The very first candidate for presidency of the United States, a woman, was the notorious Victoria Woodhull. I'll give her some space here. This is from her point of view. I am Victoria Woodhull, 1838 to 1927. April 1870, less than 31 years old. I am a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America, the first woman to be so. I named the formidable Frederick Douglass my running mate in the Equal Rights Party, although strangely, he never accepts and campaigns for Ulysses S. Grant instead. I have my detractors. Sister suffragists find me too to embrace in their circles. Susan B. Anthony calls me lewd and indecent to warn off British suffragettes. But I believe in love with liberty, freedom to marry, to divorce, to have children without social restrictions or government interference. I want to love all promiscuously. How glorious it is at one period in my life to simultaneously live with my ex-husband, husband, and my lover. My judges preach against free love openly. and practice it secretly. Senators publicly champion temperance, while in congressional offices, they imbibe what will be later called bootlegged whiskey. I believe in the family, spiritually constituted, expanded, amplified, and scientifically and artistically organized. But because I expose Henry Ward Beecher, yes, that's Harriet's brother, as an adulterous hypocrite, and because I also expose a Wall Street trader as an inebriate who seduces two young girls, I spend election day in jail for libel. A ploy, of course, to discredit me. Harriet calls me vile jailbird and impudent witch. Thomas Nast depicts me as Mrs. Satan. I believe in the most wonderful transformation of human society, as is about to come, as is even now. At the very door, the gateway to paradise. I am Ida B. Wells, 1862 to 1931. Ida Bells Wells Barnett in full. Iola for pen name as journalist. I am nicknamed Princess of the Press by Black journalists. I am born a slave. Yellow fever takes my parents and my brothers. I leave my dear Black college rust to support 3 sisters and 2 brothers. I ride a white mule to school where I teach for $25 a month. Once I sit in a first-class railway coach meant for white ladies. The conductor orders me to remove to the smokers and Jim Crow car. I resist, of course, but he manhandles me, tears my dress, throws me off the train, and the white passengers cheer. Judge James Q. Pierce, once a Union soldier, awards me $500 against the railroad, but his ruling is predictably reversed on appeal. So don't tell me, Alice Paul, if I, a Black woman, march among the white in your great woman's suffrage procession, that the Southern white women would abuse me, that we are in danger of their withdrawing their state's suffrage support. Don't tell me I am to be segregated to the tail end where the Black sisterhood walks. And when Inez Milholland, astride her white mare, canters grandly by, and 6,000 women would march past me like a mighty white ocean in this moment. For my father, who voted his conscience for Lincoln's Republicans and lost his white employment. For my Black friend, Tom Moss, a Sunday school teacher, sleeping in his bed, shot in the head by a lynching mob for protecting himself from white vandals. For all the men of my race falsely accused of raping white women. For all the women of my race called harlots and raped by white men. For all the threats, intimidations, gerrymandering, stonings, beatings, murders to suppress, manipulate, silence us from exercising our right to vote. For all my poor, starving, exiled people, reviled, hung, burned at the stake, castrated, hands and feet cut off if they tried to escape. From these jostling sidelines, this pandemonium of this procession, I gather my race in my arms. I lift up my right foot and I step forward, a drop of ink on newsprint, a word on a blank page, a Black woman marching among the white. Lavinia Lloyd Dock was a nurse who tended to highly contagious patients during yellow fever and also during what was called the Spanish flu. I thought it would be appropriate to read a poem from her point of view, reflecting on what's happening to us now. I am Lavinia Lloyd Dock, 1858 to 1956. The Spanish lady, they call it. The January 1918 to December 1920 flu pandemic. German pest, Blitzkatar, Flanders fever, the black's disease, the white man's disease, everyone scapegoating somebody else. Europe doesn't start the flu. Woodrow Wilson does, when he declares America for the war to end all wars. Plagues are spread by commerce and war. Our plague starts in Camp Funston in Kansas and Camp Devens, Massachusetts. Tens of thousands of conscripted men in close barracks, dropping as suddenly as if they had been shot. Still, sick recruits are crammed into troop ships deployed to the European theater. The war is everything to Wilson. Missing this grip that kills 50 million people. Our young soldiers drowning in their own mucus and blood. Vigorous constitutions unknowing what is host, what invader, attacking themselves from within. And mustard-colored suppurating blisters, mahogany spots on their cheeks, blue as huckleberry, wild, blind eyes. At home, the purple death, that flamethrower, that grenade, that machine gun burns through mass gatherings. Liberty Bond parades and conferences to finance the war. People crowding into churches. 675,000 Americans die and congregants collapse in their pews. I have no religious beliefs. I have no use for them. And this is not about God. It's about human politics, the ravaging of Mother Earth. The First World War starts not for lofty ideals, but for worldwide reactionary elements. Monarchies over there, millionaire corporations here, wanting oil, land, and the subjugation of workers and of women. I am born into wealth, but choose to be a nurse. 20 years in New York's Henry Street settlement with poor immigrant women and laborers, those most likely to succumb to syphilis and childbirth mortality, starvation, yellow fever, typhoid, and this flu. The antidote to the disease of war is women's voices, women in government. The very women who man the farms, the munitions factories, the old and the young, who as mothers and nurses serve the war. The Sallies of the Salvation Army, the Red Cross nurses, and the women officers frying donuts in helmets for the soldiers. Women who birth human cannon fodder, who clean up after men are the ones. The women are the ones who are truly invested in ending all wars. Unrelenting, we suffragists campaign. We tour the country, we persist. I walk from New York to Washington, D.C. to march in the 1913 Women's Suffrage Procession. 1917 to 1920, through the worst of this ravaging contagion, through the raging war, we wage our peaceful battles for all humankind. Through ice and heat and the angry spittle of hecklers, we stand, silent sentinels picketing Wilson's White House. Wilson ordains that we be arrested, jailed, and tortured into silence. No matter. It is a great joy to do a little guerrilla war in this cause. Going to jail gives me a pure feeling of unalloyed content than I've ever had in any of my other work. The Spanish lady. What a blind misnomer for this ravishing, raving disease. And that is embodied by those who rule. It would be best with the 2020 vision to call it the American Lord. Purportedly, there are some theories that when Wilson was in Paris negotiating for the League of Nations that he contracted this flu, and that's why, and then subsequently had a stroke. And Edith, his wife, took over some of the duties, but let's let her speak about that. I am Edith Bowling Galt Wilson, 1872 to 1961. First Lady of the United States, 1915 to 1921. A descendant of Pocahontas. I teach the lost cause, that the Civil War was an aggression by Northern supremacists against the Southern way of life. I am of an elite Virginia slaveholding plantation and merchant dynasty. Our fathers, brothers, lovers, husbands, and sons die for that. I oppose women's suffrage and its minion, Black suffrage. Although I meet the president after he is widowed, rumors have us as murderers of his first wife. No matter. During the Great War, I spearhead the campaign, an example for rationing. Gasless Sundays, meatless Mondays, wheatless Wednesdays. We raise sheep to crop the White House lawn to save manpower and auction off their wool for the Red Cross. The president suffers a stroke on October 2nd, 1919, from his attempts at creating a League of Nations and from the terrorizing of his daily peace by Alice Paul and her militant suffragists. As he recovers, I screen all incoming papers, requests, and issues, and no, I would never presume to initiate any programs, make major decisions, sign or veto legislation. Our one Republican senator mocks me as being presidentress, fulfilling the suffragette dream by changing my title from First Lady to Acting First Man. I will have nothing to do with Alice Paul's female menace. I am the president's vessel and the steward of his affairs. The last word he utters is Edith. Stephanie Fries invited me last July to read from the poems that I was just writing at that time that became Shout, Poetry for Suffrage. And what happened is that I wrote so many poems that a new book was born. And I'm going to read you a couple of poems from the manuscript of what will probably be called now Poetry for Equal Rights. These poems will include everything from 1920 on, not everything, but major figures in the fight for equal rights. I am Eleanor Roosevelt, 1884 to 1962. My mother calls me the ugly duckling of the family and sometimes Granny. I lose her when I am 8, but I am little Nell to my father who loves me. He dies when I'm 10 years old. Being buck-toothed and small-chinned is my saving. To have nothing about me to attract anyone for my looks, nothing to imprison me as a mere female. I had no real home, and so lonely and filled with a sense of obligation, I have become the mother that I wanted for myself, making the world my home, surrounding myself with our 6 children, serving as First Lady and mother for 12 years, part of the Women's Trade Union League, the League of Women Voters, the National Youth Administration. I am credited with founding Valkill Industries, which supports farm families. I fight for benefits to be equally extended to Americans of all races. I am in the ranks of the Red Cross and co-chair the Office of Civil Defense. My Franklin has his other lovers, as I do my Lorena. Family and marriage is not enough. Hope is not enough in a world torn by fascism and hate. Harry Truman appoints me as the first American delegate to the United Nations, which appoints me to chair the Commission on Human Rights. I am most proud of chairing the creation of the Universal Declaration for Human Rights. Eisenhower, long on glamour, short on political conviction, asks me to resign the UN. I just live it through. I remind myself, do one thing every day that scares you. Just looking at Shirley's picture brightens me. I am Shirley Anita St. Hill Chisholm, 1924 to 2005. I want to be remembered as a woman who dared to be a catalyst of change. You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines. January 25th, 1972, a warm winter day with the blessing of small rain, I announced that I am a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the President of the United States of America. It was in the Concord Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York. Concord, Concord, to bring us together. Baptist, for new beginnings. Church, for our inalienable rights under God. I am not a candidate of Black America. I am not the candidate of the women's movement. I am the candidate of the people of America. Unbossed and unbought. I am the first African American woman to be elected to the United States Congress. I serve 7 terms. Although I am burdened with the double handicap of being both Black and female. In my candidacy for the president, I am barred from televised debates and permitted only 1 televised speech. The male Congressional Black Caucus is contentious about my candidacy, but if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. LBJ signs the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Still, 7 years later, we Black voters, especially women, must wait in line for up to 12 hours to register to vote. We must pay head taxes and undergo a strenuous test not required of whites to read and interpret the Constitution before we're being deemed eligible to vote. And this is not far from the 3/5 compromise of the founding fathers, where 5 slaves equaled only 3 persons. We suffer bodily harm and fabricated charges designed to land us in jail if we attempt to vote. So, follow me, fighting Shirley on the Chisholm Trail. I run to win, although I know I cannot win. I run so that in time, a Black woman will win. Here in this Concord Baptist Church, I raise my right arm and my index and middle finger in V for victory. The index finger to point the way to a godly future. The middle, as it has been since ancient times, for warning and power. I'm going to finish with Alice Paul. This is a picture of her toasting the ratification and also the new Penn Station with its glass ceiling. I am Alice Paul, 1885 to 1977. I am a suffragist fighting to be heard, fighting for all women to be heard. The time has come for a new direction. So I throw stones into the windows of power. I have broken 48. I have broken thousands. For this, I am locked up in an airless prison, rank with the stench of sweat, vomit, urine, feces, women's blood. They will say it's a book of poetry, but it's a bowl I pitch at a high window, hit my mark that we might breathe the democratic air. And my sister steps cheer my aim. My window then, of course, is blocked up, a solid board that covers the kindly face of an old man who bemoans his task. But there is another air, another light, another song. So I toss stones. I break windows open when doors will not. I break glass, that suspensive liquid sand. I throw glass, electric bulbs and goblets. I throw books. I throw the book at those who make unjust laws. I break laws that choose me, although I have not chosen them. I break whatever needs shattering to make the world as beautiful as I can. I throw and throw until I may throw my hat into the ring. I cast and cast until it is ballots that we all cast. There will never be a new world order until women are a part of it. The movement is a sort of mosaic. Each of us puts in one little stone, and then you get a great mosaic, like the sweeping floors of New York's new 1905 Penn Station, forming a foundation for the struts and girders and beams, lofting a vast glass ceiling above us. There will come a time when they say of a woman who will carry a nation, she went where most women would not have gone, that she was a child of the light, that she shattered the glass ceiling, and then we will see the shards gleam and glitter among our stones. And so here we have these amazing women, our amazing contemporary women. I am Marsha P. Johnson. I am Greta Thunberg. I am Nancy Pelosi. I am Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I am Elizabeth Warren. I am Kamala Harris. I am Mona Eltahawy. I am Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I am Stacey Abrams. I am Michelle Obama. I am every woman. It's all in me. I am. Thank you for your attention. I hope that you will turn to poetry, because poetry heals and it brings us back to what is important in all of us, our common humanity. Thank you.